Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this particular tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you on how to sew this particular milkmaid dress on my screen. If it's something you would like to learn, open and let's start. So before I start, don't forget to watch the drafted video. I'm going to be dropping a link down my description box for you to go watch it so you can understand where we are coming from. So the first thing I want to do here is to work on my bust. So now we are going to work on the cup of the pattern. So what did I do here? I just divided my cup into 4, you can see, and I slashed it. I divided it into 4 and I slashed it. Simple as that. So the next thing I want to do is to label them 1, 2, 3, 4. You can slash yours into 7, you can slash yours into 10, but I slashed mine into 4. So now I'm going to come in with my scissors and cut it. I'm going to cut all those lines. So now I am left with 4 pieces. The next thing I want to do is to place it on my material. So I doubled my material and that's going to serve as my bust. So now I'm just going to be placing each pattern on the material. And I added 3 inches allowance at the middle part because it is a milkmaid dress. So this is after placing 3 inches allowance on each pattern. Now I'm going to cut out the pattern and I will make sure that I am following each pattern. I'm not just cutting it anyhow. So I'm going to be using my scissors to do that. So guys, this is after cutting out our bust. Yes, you can see the way it's looking. So after cutting in the piece for the cup, I'm just showing you guys the front parts. I put my stay and I'm showing you guys the way I'm going to be joining the cup to the body of my milkmaid dress. So now we are going to be working on the cup. So what I did here was just to cut in 1.5 inches long of a piece. I'm going to be adding this piece to the cup part, and it's going to be at the top because we are going to be putting a rope in between both busts. So now we're just going to work on the upper part. So now I'm going to stitch the upper part. This is after stitching the upper part. Then the next thing I want to do is to just fold the bottom part of the piece. I'm going to fold the bottom part of the piece and I'm going to stitch it down, because that is where our rope string is going to pass. So this is after doing in our case where our rope string is going to pass. The next thing I want to do is to do my rope string. So I did my rope string offline. You can do yours. Yours can be longer than mine. Yours can be shorter than mine. Yours can be tinier than mine. So the next thing I want to do is to double stitch the bottom part. I'm going to double stitch the bottom part to make it a gathers. So guys, this is after double stitching the bottom part. I'm going to do my boning offline. I'm going to stitch it offline together. So this is after stitching it and putting in my boning and my rope. So if you have any question concerning the stitching, the boning, just kindly comment below and I'm going to answer your question. So the next thing I want to do is to put in my lining. So I'm going to be joining my lining to the upper part, not the down part yet. We are still going to come to the down part for the lining. We are going to be joining our lining to the upper part first. So now you can see the way I'm just using my pin to do that, and I flipped my lining to the other side. You can see that it's not joining it. So guys, I continue doing that. So this is after joining in my lining. You can see the way it's looking. It is looking more neater than when we don't have a lining on our dress. So the next thing I want to do is to work on the back. I'm still going to come to the front part, but I'm going to work on the back first. This particular part, I'm going to be slashing the back part first, because that is where our zipper is going to be. So back to our sleeveless area. So this is the sleeveless part. This is our sleeveless hand. I folded it, and you can see the way it's looking, and the length is 14, in case you are curious about that. The length of my sleeveless hand is 14. What am I going to do next is to join in my sleeveless to my gown, to the front part. So you can see the way I'm just doing it. So now I'm going to stitch the upper parts, the sleeve with the lining. So you can see the way our sleeveless hand is looking. It is already looking put together. So now I'm going to be working on the down part. I'm going to be joining my lining. You can see the way I just flip them together, and I'm going to be sewing it. I'm not going to sew all of it. I'm just going to be sewing the back's waist design. I'm going to be leaving the side for now. You can see the way I just put in my pin, and I'm demonstrating to you guys the place I'm going to be sewing. So this is after putting in my lining. You can see they're already looking put together. Then the next thing is to come to my back parts. So I also sewed the lining together with the actual material. So now the next thing I want to do is to join in my sleeveless hand to the back. So now I'm just going to be using my pin to hold that. Then I'm going to be stitching the upper part. And don't forget to add your sleeve to the back. So guys, after stitching our sleeveless to the back, the next thing I want to do is to make sure the pin is at the zipper, because I'm not putting in my zipper yet. So I want to make sure that the dress is in place, my measurements is in place. You can see this is after adding our sleeveless to the front and the back. The next thing I want to do is to work on my gathers. And for my gathers, I just bring in 1 yard and I slash it into two. You can see me just cutting it. We are at the gathers part. So if you have any question, don't forget to ask. So now we are at the gathers part, and I just slashed it into two. So the next thing I want to do is to fold in the bottom side of the gown. You can see I'm going to be folding that into two. And the next thing I want to do is to double stitch. I'm going to be double stitching because that's where I'm going to be making in my gathers. So I'm going to start drawing in my gathered, and I have already folded the bottom side of the gown. So now I'm just going to start pulling in my string of the gathers together. I'll just start pulling it to make my gathers. Then the next thing I want to do is to put in my gathers to the front material. So what I am doing here is to measure the front back's waistline. I'm just going to measure it so that I can know the actual gathers that I'm going to be placing on the front. So this is after measuring it. I think I got 24. So I'm going to go to the gathers also and measure 24 also. So I'm going to be measuring 24 also for my gathers. And the next thing I'm going to do is to place the gathers on the front fabric, on the front material. So I'm just going to be sewing it, and I'm going to be following the back waist measurement, the back's waist design also. And this is after joining in the gathers for the front and the back. The next thing I'm going to be doing here is just to add my body measurement and to put my zipper. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Thank you. So the next thing I want to do is to just measure the back waistline. So I'm just going to measure, um just see the way I'm measuring it, where I want my gathers to start and end from. I just measure it to that particular part, and I'm going to be using that measurement on my gathers. So I'm just going to place the measurement on my gathers. So I'm going to sew the bottom part of the front, and I'm also going to do it for the back also. So this is after sewing it. You can see the next thing to do is to sew the body part, like putting my body measurement and sewing it. Then I'm going to be putting in my zipper. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.